Today is Tuesday, January 19th. I'm joined by council members Mitchell Farrell and Joe Buscaino. Thank you very much for being here. Truly appreciate it. On time. With that, we're going to go ahead and jump into the agenda. Before we do that, we're going to go through for cards. We've got cards on, of course, probably everything. If you're going to speak during this meeting while you're not actually at the table on the clock, you'll be disrupting this meeting. You'll be asked to leave. So I just want to let you know what the rules are here as well for those of you who are here to speak on any particular agenda item. So on these cards, we're going to go ahead and Herman, come on up. First, we're going to go to general public comment. We have 2 cards for general public comment. Is there anybody else here for general public comment? Okay, so we'll start. Herman, why don't you come on up for
Mr. Speaker,
a number.
You will address
Excuse me. I said do not speak until you're sitting here on the clock. Otherwise, you're disrupting this meeting. If you do it again, you're going to be asked to leave. Those are the rules. With that, general public comment for 1 minute.
Thank you. I want order.
You're not playing your cell phone.
I said I want order.
You're not playing your cell phone, and your clock hasn't started yet. So I'm going to tell you what items you're going to speak on. You'll stick to those agenda items.
May I write them down?
You'll be asked to leave. You already wrote them down, sir.
Oh.
So items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and general public comment. So we'll go ahead and give you 1 minute for general public comment and then 5 minutes total on all the other items. And stick to the agenda items. Let us know which item first you'll be speaking on as you go through them. Thank you.
Que no exista la exclusión a nadie, se le puede negar el acceso a programas, beneficios, activos y servicios simplemente por una discapacidad, pendejos. Entonces, la palabra de la hoy fecha es...
And to destroy Israel. You scumbag, Michelle Kuhl, you anti-Semitic
You're not going to be playing audio or
Mr.
playing...
Chair, I have the floor. It's general public
No, you don't have the
comment.
floor to do whatever you want. As
time.
it pertains to this committee agenda, so you've lost your time
This
on that.
is general public comment.
Okay, we'll take the...
Are you
remaining
discriminating
time off
against
of
me?
that.
Are you being a racist?
Excuse me, now we're not having a dialogue.
We're not. May I
follow
finish
the
my
rules or you're
public
not?
comment? General public comment. You call me for general
Stop
public
speaking
comment.
for a moment.
I wish to
Your
speak.
clock is not moving, Mr.
All right,
Herman.
all right, thank you.
Here's the thing. You'll speak to, in general public comment, only things that pertain to this committee. If there's anything outside this committee, or if you're going to use props, or if you're going to disrupt this meeting, you're going to be asked to leave. That'll be your fair and final warning. Thank you. Start his clock again at 34 seconds. Thank you.
So, and my point about the major gas leak that we've experienced in Porter Ranch, it's obvious that Mitch Englander is not supportive of it. He's allowed people to be gassed like the Nazis gassed all the Jews. And now he's stepping up because it's all about the videos, the cameras, and the newspaper articles. But as long as Big Ear sits on the floor and is running for county board supervisor, I say vote no for Mr. Big Ears. Thank you.
Okay, start. Go ahead.
I'm in a hurry. I got 5 minutes.
If you're not going to speak to any agenda items, or just
I'm
waste this
slowly
committee's
getting
time
there.
and not speak,
Are
then
you
you'll be- you're
discriminating against
disrupting
me
the
once
meeting.
again, sir? Do you wish
Not
to
on the agenda
discriminate?
items.
Then allow me to get to the page. There's 3 fucking pages, 16 items. That's where I'm at.
Last one.
Thank
You're not
you.
on the agenda items.
Board of Police Commission report relative to the 2015 supplemental police account for the third quarter report. No statement submitted. Isn't it obvious that fool Mr. Soberoff, who continues to run the illegal process of First Amendment rights and our civil rights at police commission meeting, violates the process of submitting and non-submitting reports on behalf of the public. That was item number 13, Mr. Biggers. And moving on to the next one. Oh, look. Item 16, Board of Police Commission report relative to the acceptance of a donation by maintenance, licensing, and cloud storage for 860 body-worn cameras. Well, most of the people know already that the cameras are not working, because if they were, we would, oh, Miss Nuri, she's late, come on in. This is the...
Excuse me, I'm sorry, excuse me. Now you're disrupting this meeting. It's not making animal sounds, it's not speaking to items on the agenda. Wait. Hold this clock for a second. Hold this clock for a second. Wayne, I've warned you 3 times already that you're disrupting this meeting by doing that, so I'll see you later. We'll see you at council. You'll be asked to leave. You're making sounds out of it. I've said it.
The foreman out. He's simply
Excuse me. Now you're not speaking. I held your clock. You're not having this conversation. Wayne, please, thank you. Yes, you're making the sounds. Yes, you did. I said anybody out there. So, sorry, Wayne. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. You're being asked to leave the meeting. You're disrupting this meeting for the 4th time. Now you're still disrupting this meeting. You're continuing to this. If you're going to continue to disrupt this meeting, you'll be asked not to come to the next one either. All right. All right. Thank you, Wayne.
Mr. Chair, may I have the floor now?
Speak to the agenda items. Do not make any other sounds outside of speaking to the agenda.
No segregation nor retaliation. When we talk about the police commissioner's report regarding acceptance, donations, or so-called, what is it called, Mr. Biggers? It's called campaign donor squash funds here. We're talking about the licensing and storage for LA Police Foundation valued at $63,637 for the benefit of the police department. But I'm going to skip that. I'm glad Ms. Nuri came back in as we apply the awareness of our rights here in a public forum, quorum. Now that we have a quorum with just Mike Bonin missing, I want to talk about item 3, Mr. Bonin. Why relative to approving and accepting a grant award for the foundation and promote open society. What the fuck is open society when you got a war on homelessness? That's open society. People who are oppressed by some assholes that sit here and say, oh no, for $200,000, we're going to attempt a research and design and post-arrest pre-filing drug diversion programs. Well, do you know how many fucking homeless are on our street with that kind of problem? And yet the war on homelessness is the issue here. So stop putting in your stupid promotion for open society. I oppose it. I think you should go back and work on it. There are people in this society who are dying with AIDS. Why not put money towards pre-filing drug prevention on those who have AIDS? Not because they're drug addicts. People that have AIDS suffer it because of their medical condition, their social behavior in their life. Some experience stress in certain levels, so they go out and engage in promiscuous conduct. As a result, they experience the poor situation of dying from fucking AIDS. And then I'm going back now to item number 6, my favorite number, 666. Did you hear that, Mr. Gasman? The Board of Fire Commissioners and City Administrators Officers report relative to the acceptance of a grant for us goats to award from the Federal Emergency Management Agency Assistance of Firefighters Grant Program. Well, maybe if we had the fire department looking into the leak instead of running around looking for the county supervisor of the 5th district to say, hey, let's...
You're not on it.
I'm talking about the goddamn gas leak.
You're not on the
subject. Firemen need...
Stick to the subject.
How firemen need monies and all monies so that they could hear better.
This is a grant program. It has nothing to do with it.
Right, and the grant has to do with firefighters. Federal Emergency Management Agency Assistance for Firefighters Grant Program. Now, imagine if we had a program that allowed our firefighters to go into Porter Ranch and stop that gas leak, how great that grant award would be. But there is no dollar amount here, Mr. Englander, who's running for county supervisor. It only talks about how the city administrative officer supports relative acceptance of this grant, which violates state and federal mandate laws.
Thank you. All right, Herman, your time is up for this meeting. Thanks for coming. I'm sure we'll see you at council and every other committee meeting throughout the week. Don't disrupt this meeting. We'll wait for you to leave the room if that's what you're doing. You're still disrupting this meeting. You don't need to push in your chair. Take your time. Be safe, Mr. Herman. All right. Are there any other general public comments that anybody that wishes to speak to general public?
Legitimate.
Comment? Legitimate. It's all legitimate. This is a free speech society. Clearly, under the First Amendment, we welcome any and all speakers of all types. With that, if you have cards on any specific items, feel free to make sure you get those in now as well so we can speak to those, and we'll go ahead and conclude general public comment then for this committee meeting. I've got a number of items that I'd like to call on consent now that we've had the public speak to those items, and seeing that there are no cards in, ask my colleagues. Number one, Internet Crimes Against Children Program Grant. This is just yet another $630,000 grant from the Department of Justice for the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Program. Number two is the 2015-16 Victim Assistance Program Grant Acceptance, and this is $1,497,149 to the City Attorney's Office to continue and accept the grant funding for the County of Los Angeles 36th Year of Victim Assistance Program. Number three is the Foundation to Promote Open Society Drug Treatment Programs. It's another grant award of $200,000. This is in response to a motion from council members Bonin and Buscaino that the city attorney accept the grant from the Foundation to Promote Open Society to design a post-arrest pre-filing diversion drug program. We'd ask for that to be on consent as well.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, and this item is in council today.
Correct. Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much. Number four is the 2013 reprogramming of the UASI fiscal year dollars as well. Number five is the UASI 11, 12, and 13 revised contracting authorities that we would move on consent. Number six is the 2014 Assistance for Firefighters Grant Program. And we'll go ahead and ask that that be put on consent as well. That's requesting the authority to accept the fiscal year 14 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Award from the Federal Emergency Management Agency from FEMA. Number seven is the 14 UASI fiscal year grant as well. Let's see here. 12 is the supplemental police account, the SPA 29, for fiscal years 15 and 16. 13 is the supplemental police account third quarter report. 14 is the Operation South Bureau Justice Juvenile Impact Program from the Police Foundation. To speak on, that should be actually consent as well. And on that, for 14, just to note that
Special 14.
you want to call that special?
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as where that,
Sure.
how that dollars going to be spent.
Okay. 14 will be held on the desk for conversation. 15 is the 240-hour counter explosion device course monetary donation. So essentially, it's the Board of Police Commissioners who approved this for the course on explosive detection dog teams. And that is a donation from the foundation to cover the bomb canine section, and that's for $18,500. 16 it's actually not the body-worn cameras technically at all. It's the 2-year maintenance. So we actually accepted already the deployment of these back in September of 2015. This was simply the 2-year maintenance cost. This is no new equipment. This is no new deployment. This is for the ones that were already deployed in the various divisions, and always understood that the 2-year maintenance cost would be covered by the foundation. So that's simply approving the donation of the dollars from the foundation to cover the 2-year maintenance cost. And so I think we could take that on consent as well, since there's no, has nothing to do with any of the other conversation that's actually occurring regarding additional or further deployment. And this was already approved by the Police Commission as well. We'll hear number 8, 9, 10, 11, and then again 14 as well. So we'll move those consent items without objection. That'll be the order.
Okay, Mr. Chair, just for the record, for items 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7, would you like to approve the recommendations of the CAO report?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, and for items number 12 and 13, would you like to note and file those?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and note and file those as well.
Okay, and for item number 15 and 16, would you like the committee's action to accept those donations?
Correct, yes.
And for item number 3, would you like to approve the motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So that'll be the order without objection from this committee. Thank you very much. Thank you, Megan, for coming.
So what's left again?
It's
8,
nice to
9,
see you.
10, 14?
8 through 11 and 14.
Yeah, she gets a special shout out. Yeah, so what's left is now number 8, 9, 10, 11, and 14. All right, so we'll go ahead and start, if we could, with number 10.
Sure.
Ready? Okay. So I'll ask anybody from the department to come up and please speak on item 10.
And Mr. Chair, if I can just say just a couple of few words. I believe we have Battalion Chief Felicia Welk here.
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome. And someone from Wiggly Simpson is here as well. I just don't have your name. I'm sorry.
Soraya Dorbin.
Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, colleagues, 2 years ago we began the conversation about the lack of women in a variety of fields, from elected office to the fire department. So, in 2013, I introduced a motion so that we can begin the conversation towards ensuring that our department reflects the community that we serve, and that's what brings us here today. So I believe you have a presentation to talk about as the department is looking to embark on a hiring campaign. We need to understand the strategies that the department is using to not only attract people from different backgrounds, but also women, and we can deal with the gender issue as well. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't know who's going to the conversation.
I'll start,
Battalion
ma'am.
Chief.
Thank you for having us today, Honorable Commission. I'm here with the team from Quigley Simpson and also the Personnel Department. We do not do this alone. We work together. And you started by saying in 2013 and 2014 we were under scrutiny for our hiring practices and testing practices. We've done a lot since that time to improve. So today I plan on telling you some of the things that we've been doing, starting with clearly defining what our goals are. And those first 2 major goals that you'll see are to improve efforts to recruit a workforce that's reflective of the city we serve, and also develop and retain a professional and diverse workforce. How do we do that? Well, we clearly defined a strategy, and that strategy is written in the board report that's before you. We set out a mission, goals, objectives, and a very clear strategy, and I'm going to talk to you about that today. Our strategy is very focused on recruitment and mentoring efforts. We're spending a lot of time on college campuses, on military bases, sporting and fitness events. One example would be this weekend coming up. I'm sure you're all aware of the Run to Remember. We'll be recruiting out there, and we're looking for folks who who are part of an active lifestyle. We know that those are the folks that tend to do well in the fire service. That's just one example of what we're doing on recruitment events. Youth programs, we know that we need to foster in our communities awareness that women and minorities can be firefighters. So we're developing several youth programs, including a high school magnet program. One of them is in Councilman Buscaino's district down in San Pedro. We're participating in community involvement. Friday Night Lights is an initiative from the mayor. We spend time at community activities like that. Council events. We view our 106 fire stations as recruitment centers. Coming up in May, we'll have Fire Service Recognition Day, where our theme will be very much focused on recruitment. And then mayor's initiatives. We know that our mayor is focused on equality and diversity within the city. So his gender equity initiative and back to basics style in terms of using innovation, as evidenced by our partners here that we're working with in our new campaign, technology, and I'll talk a little bit about that. These are things that we're focused on as we move forward in our recruitment. So how are we doing this? We've increased our staffing in our former recruitment unit was a staff of 3. We have a staff of 9 now. It's divided into the recruitment unit, preparatory programs unit, and youth development. And basically what that means is I have a captain and firefighter that oversee all the recruitment activities we do, all the preparatory programs, including written preparation, oral preparation, physical preparation, and again, youth development, which focuses on high school, our cadet posts, and youth fire academies. So what we want you to know about today is we have a very distinct timeline, and I'm proud to report to you that we've been sticking to this timeline. In December, the firefighter bulletin was posted, and everything we've been doing since then is focused on getting through this campaign. Starting this month, in Councilwoman's district, we'll be having a career expo at Drill Tower 81, and we look forward to seeing you out there. And each month following, we'll be having recruitment expos and doing preparatory programs, fitness programs, and mentoring firefighter candidates. The timeline is there for your review. So another key strategy is we're partnering with our local universities. East LA College, Valley, Harbor, and Metro, they all partner in our youth academies with us. We're looking at having a girls' camp this summer, and we'll partner with a nonprofit organization called Camp Blaze. We have been visiting many college campuses and learned that they have life skills coordinators there who are a liaison between the college athletes. And so we do a lot of career days and mentoring through the life skills coordinators in these various colleges you see here on the slide. We're working closely with LAPD and LAUSD as we develop a curriculum for our high school magnet program because they've had an existing high school magnet in law enforcement for years. We're working with them to develop our magnet curriculum. We believe that we can take advantage of young minds and innovation and motivation. So we have several student workers and interns that work with us in our office to help us capture data and analyze that data and also report that data. Another strategy, again, is toward the high school magnet programs. The 3 that we're working with right now are Banning, Dorsey, and Wilson in East LA. The next strategy is to develop and enhance the existing youth programs we have in Crew 3 and also the Fire Cadet program. What we're trying to do is standardize those programs, making sure that one builds on the other, so that we can produce young people who are ready to take the task of the Fire Academy. We're looking for funds to support those programs. And the next thing we're doing is a lot of mentoring again. I'm hoping that you have heard that we're working at Drill Tower 21, and Old Drill Tower 21. Every Wednesday night we have a program where if I met you, Councilwoman, at a recruitment event like the expo this weekend, if I met you and I had you fill out an electronic form, the next day you would get a follow-up email from me saying thank you for your interest in Los Angeles Fire Department, and it'd also tell you about all the programs we have to help you prepare yourself to become a firefighter. And then we would invite you on Wednesday night to our orientation program where we talk to you about the testing process and all that it takes to maneuver through that, and all that it takes to maneuver through a career of a firefighter and starting at the fire academy. And then we go out into the yard at Drill Tower 21 and we let you try on our turnouts and our breathing apparatus. We let you manipulate the power equipment and the ladders and a loaded hose line. So that way we didn't just meet you at an event and say, yeah, you'd be a great firefighter, fill out this form. We take it one more step. We talk to you about the program in depth, or the requirements in depth, and then we let you go through some of the rigors that you'll be faced in the academy. And that way, we close that recruitment loop. That way you can decide, yes, this is for me and I'm going to do everything I can to get this job, or maybe this isn't for me, but maybe I'll share this information with a friend, relative, or loved one. The next slide speaks very specifically to what we're doing. You want to know what we're doing to recruit women and underrepresented groups. The city personnel department here, sitting at the end of the table, has a database that they use so that if a firefighter candidate fills out an electronic interest form online, it goes into their database. And that indicates that they have interest in becoming a firefighter. We go to that database on a regular basis and we extract the underrepresented groups that we're trying to recruit and mentor and assist in the process. This is an example of us getting a view at the women who are currently in that database. And we see exactly where they're at in the testing process, whether they've taken a written, an oral, whether they've had their CPAT and their medical. So we know right now, if you look at the top corner, we know that we have 117 women that are currently active in the testing process. And so what we do is the Los Angeles Fire Department recruitment section, we go in there and we offer support to these women along the way so that we can help ensure their success in the process. This is a snapshot of what we're doing to help women. We do the same thing for our Hispanic applicants, our Asian applicants, and our Native American applicants. This is just a snapshot to show you, for example, that there are 8 women currently assigned in our Drill Tower Academy out at 81s.
Where does it say that? I'm sorry, just walk me through it.
If you look at the right-hand corner, you see appointed to Drill Tower 81. I took their names out, but you see recruit 1 resigned on the first day, but recruit 2 through 7 are currently there in the academy. You look at assigned to Drill Tower 40, so we know that we have 2 women currently assigned at Drill Tower 40 down in San Pedro.
How did she resign? Do we know?
How or why? She said that she felt like it was a profession she was talked into. She didn't come to the conclusion on her own. This is an example of how we're using technology, we're using data to try to be a better resource to these applicants and candidates to help them get through the process. And I want to assure you all that we're doing this equally for all underrepresented groups. This is one example. So to move on about our technology, we, like I mentioned to you, I hand you my mobile device and you can sign up at any event, or I could meet you in the supermarket, council member or your niece or nephew, and see that they're wearing a UCLA shirt and say, hey, fill this in. We're going to talk to you about becoming a firefighter. That goes into a database that we analyze weekly. And we follow up and we make an invitation, come and talk to us. We analyze that data on a weekly, monthly basis. And what I see from the time we started using this in October is right now we have over 1,000 candidates in only our database that we've actively been engaged with. And so... Are
these 1,000 candidates, are these all women, or
they're not all women.
Categories of...
They're all different categories of folks that we're meeting, and we're tracking where we meet them. Did we meet them at a sporting event, at a college event? Did one of our firefighters meet them at the grocery store? We have categories in that electronic form where they show where they met us, where they contacted us first. And so we're tracking where are we most effective. And so far we're very effective at our recruitment events, at our colleges, and our military bases. Obviously, we're very interested in working with our military veterans and ensuring that they have every opportunity to become a firefighter as well. So we spend a lot of time on our military bases as well. Another thing that we're doing is surveying those candidates, so we make sure that we're hitting the mark with the programs that we're offering. We give them a chance to tell us how we're doing. And finally, a final part of our strategy is actively engaging in the community. So over this 6-month campaign, we'll have 4 career expos, one in starting in Councilwoman Martinez's district. We'll have one at Frank Hodgkins Training Center. We'll have one in West LA, and we'll also have one in South LA at the Crenshaw Christian Center next month. How are we able to get the word out? We were very archaic in getting our word out before. Chief Terrazas in June told me that he expected we would have a recruitment campaign, a marketing campaign, and I knew that that wasn't my area of expertise. I was very lucky to meet the folks at Quigley Simpson, and you see some of the examples of the marketing that we'll be using throughout the city.
Fantastic.
And they're here to speak about how they came to this particular strategy for us.
Hello. Good morning. A couple things that were very important to us to communicate with this campaign. Job one, very important to show and reflect the community that we're speaking to. So you'll see a lot of different faces and body types than what you might expect to see as members of the LAFD. Also, in terms of the qualities we're looking for, yes, physical strength is very, very important, but there are a number of other qualities that people might not think about that they know they possess. We want to present those as being desirable qualities. So to succeed with the LAFD, yes, strength is important, but it also takes teamwork, compassion, grit, focus, things like this. So we wanted to highlight other qualities and open the door to other kinds of people. Secondly, it was very important to present a career with the LAFD as something desirable. So we really honed in on this patch that's worn by every member of the department. It truly is a badge of honor, and we wanted to portray it as such and show that badge of honor being worn by very different people. So a gymnast, a swimmer, a dancer, a veteran, and have people in those communities realize that they could be LAFD material too.
Now, you guys are a PR firm, right?
We're an advertising agency.
And are you? Did we have you guys under contract, or how did this come about? This relationship?
I think there was an encounter between the mayor's office and Quigley Simpson that obviously the mayor's concerned that we had an effective recruitment campaign, and they're a woman-owned company, very interested in women-owned or women's issues, and so it just seemed to be a good fit. So we took that chance encounter. We reached out to them and asked them to come and meet us and see if they can help us. That was back in August, and it's been a relationship that's, I think, been very positive and very effective since then.
We're also a local agency. We're an independent agency, so a local cause is very meaningful to us, as well as women's cause.
Well, we appreciate it very much.
Thank
and in
you very
fact,
much.
I think
It's been
that
an
your
honor.
passion and creativity shows through. This is really needed. And I think this is one of the biggest components that, quite frankly, has been missing from the recruitment tool, because we all have said we need more diversity, particularly women in this agency, in this department, in this organization. And it's critically important for so many reasons. And one of the things that we've been missing is the attraction of marketing and campaigning and going out there and advertising. And that was just not something I think the city does well on so many fronts, with so many other things on our plate. And to bring in a truly creative expertise, local expertise here to come up with some of these campaigns and slogans, images are so important. And I can't thank you enough on behalf of all of us for stepping forward to helping us out. Can't wait to see these on bus benches, hopefully, billboards. I'm sure we've gotten hit in the past for taking free advertising from billboard companies for PSAs. I think it's well worth it in this type of campaign and effort. So I'd like to see, hopefully, the billboard companies step up and put some of these ads that you guys have created. See these on certainly on buses and on city buses, and all over the city. These should be everywhere. And these posters are fantastic. So anything we can do to help that effort, I mean, this is remarkable. You guys should deserve some awards for this. But most importantly, which I'm sure you will, but most importantly, hopefully we can utilize this now in going to all of these different venues that you spoke of and sharing not only these images, but what it is to be a firefighter and what it is not just to be a firefighter, but the Los Angeles City Fire Department, and showing that and expressing that teamwork and what it all means beyond, just going out there and trying to recruit, which is so difficult. The apps that you've created, the target segmentation, looking at and actually measuring through surveys and coming back with that data, so important. So this is a major shift in the way that we have been doing things, and the creativity is brilliant, and the teamwork has been great, and so I want to thank you all for stepping up and working together for this. And I want to ask Councilwoman Martinez how she'd like to handle this. Do you want to have some numbers come back to us? Do you want regular reports?
If we can ask that we approve the motion and that's the verbal department's verbal report.
Okay.
We can do that today. I did have a couple of questions, though, if you don't mind.
Yep, please.
You talked about the high school magnet program that you're working with LAUSD. I remember speaking to the chief earlier last year, and we talked about identifying a school in the valley.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was Reseda or Monroe. I don't remember, but I know there is a cadet magnet program that runs, I think, out of Reseda. I know he was looking at that program. Have you identified a school in the valley at all?
We're looking, and you're correct, that those two have had success in the past, both Reseda and Monroe. And Monroe particularly has some folks that are more willing to work with us and help us be successful in regard to a fire program. So Monroe is kind of where we're looking, but we're open to any school that's willing.
Let me know how I can help you. I sat on the school board for 4 years. The new superintendent, Michelle King, who just was appointed last year, is a good friend, and we should support her, and I think she would be very happy to help us in this effort. So anything I can do. Monroe used to be one of my schools, so you're right. They're really they're in your district now.
And they have a tremendous amount of programs.
Yeah, they do. So we should work on that, just because I want to make sure that the Valley kids get recruited as well. And in terms of once the women go through the application process, how do you plan to get them through the academy, which is the challenging part? Is it through strong mentoring programs? What other ways do you plan to help them? Because that's probably the toughest part of keeping the women and making sure they graduate.
You're right. So we're doing a number of things. It's kind of a pronged approach that we're taking. Mentoring is big. So once we identify where they're at, we reach out to them and we make sure that they know that they have a mentor. We partner with Los Angeles Women in the Fire Service. We also spend a lot of time at the Stentorian Center. They have a program every Wednesday where they offer hands-on training to people of color and women. So we make sure that those women know that that's an opportunity for them to go practice. We know that if you show up to the fire academy on the first day and you've never put on a set of turnouts or lifted a ladder or had your hands on a loaded hose line, you're going to have trouble. And so we try to reach them early. We try to make sure that they know that there's a fitness program out there. There's a training program the fire department has to help them. It's 16 weeks. We encourage them to participate in that. We have oral interview sessions. We work with them specifically on Wednesday afternoons to make sure their oral interview skills are such that are going to cause them to get selected. But a big part of it is an awareness of how that academy is really going to be physically demanding, mentally demanding, and we do all that we can ahead of time to make sure that that's not a surprise on the first day.
On the CAPS program, I'm assuming it's similar to CAPS and what we do with LAPD. I went through the CAPS program before I became a police officer and spent a couple of years, every other day at the academy running 6 miles and doing all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've expanded that program to be in different regions, so you didn't have to just all drive, which is when I went through, we didn't have one in the Valley. We didn't have,
Right.
Now they have that at Pierce, and LAPD actually has the CAPS program out there.
Right.
Do we have, is that
We do.
sort of similar to what we're doing?
We do. We're not branched out quite. We do offer it in 2 areas of the city. They do it on Saturdays at Drill Tower 81, and then 2 nights a week it's offered at Frank Hodgkins. And we do partner. LAPD's there on the gym floor doing their CAPS program as well. But what we tried to do to offer more demographic support, that's why we opened up Old Drill Tower 21, because it's in South LA. So all those folks that come up from San Diego and Riverside, they have another location that they can come and train with us as well.
Right.
Another avenue for those people who can't travel, all of our fitness programs are on our Join LAFD site, and we encourage applicants to download that information and start working out early. So we're not only using physical locations, but we're doing a lot in social media as well to support candidates getting through the process.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And I know Mitchell Farrell's got some questions or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So first of all, if you have these posters, I would love to put one in my field office in Echo Park.
Absolutely.
Because hundreds of people walk by there every single day.
Right.
So if you have one, I'd love to put one up immediately. And I was already recruited by this team to help with some visual images on buildings. So we'll work together on some sort of special event opportunity so that we can project those images, maybe in Hollywood or something. So I want to thank you, Chief Welch and team, for creating this wonderful program. One huge misunderstanding that people have about my district, the 13th district, is that it is one of wealth and fully gentrified, but the reality is that it's not. We have some of the poorest neighborhoods in the city of Los Angeles, and we have 3 high schools that are within my boundaries. Every single one of them are minority, majority attendance. Belmont High, Ellen Bernstein, and Hollywood High, all of them in very, very low-income neighborhoods. So I would encourage any sort of appearance, presence at any of those 3 high schools, and we would love to help you with that.
We'll be there this weekend, sir, doing recruiting through Hollywood as we run through the studios and through the Grove. We'll be promoting jobs in LAFD.
Wonderful. And then also LACC, and they have an enormous job and recruitment fair every year. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you right now exactly when that is, but it's very well attended, and I would love to see a participation in that coming up. So, that's really all I have. Just congratulations. It sounds like a great program, and I would love to help in any way possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could just take 1 second. Again, we're sitting here at the table as a team, and I think it's very important for you to see the first 2 rows behind me. Those are all staff from Quigley Simpson. I want you to see the level of commitment and the fact that all the time and effort that's been put into this campaign. You're not only going to see posters and flyers, but we're working on social media and marketing and radio and TV. And I think it's very appropriate that you see the team that's stepped in behind us to support not only the fire department but the city, and they've done this pro bono. They're here today just to show how committed they are. And also my partner at the end of the table, Mr. Dunlop from the personnel department, they've been able to get us a $350,000 budget that's going to be carved up for social media and that projection on buildings and these posters and bus ads and everything else you've asked us for. This is my team, and that's my team that's going to help us make this happen. So I think it's appropriate that we recognize them as well.
Brilliant. Long overdue, and can't thank you guys enough for coming together and helping this campaign and this effort.
Mr. President, I'd like to move the item forward as well, but if we can come back with quarterly reports in terms of how the hiring is going, that would be helpful for the committee members.
Okay.
And again, this campaign not only helps identify new recruits for the department, but I also think it helps create the pipeline to ensure that our recruits are actually getting through the process. So congratulations, wonderful work, and so.
Great, thank you very much. That'll be the order. We'll go ahead and accept that motion with quarterly reports to come back to this committee, and again offer our appreciation and gratitude for the phenomenal creativity of the team in putting this together. So thank you so much for that. That item is approved without objection. That is unanimous. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry to interrupt. Richard Williams, City Clerk's Office. On the report that was submitted by the fire department today, would you like to note and file that report?
Yes, we'll go ahead and note and file, and then go ahead and ask for the recommendation from this committee will then just be to come back with quarterly reports to the committee from the department and let us know how things are going in progress and the actual numbers of candidates and graduates.
Okay. And also, Mr. Chair, my apologies for item number 12.
Yes, sir.
An action is required by the committee. Would the committee like to approve the
CA.
police department's supplemental police account expenditure plan?
Yes, sir. Okay, yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Yeah, thank you very much. That'll be the order. And then we're going to go ahead and take item 9. This was a motion by Koretz Krikorian for the potential benefits of and cautions for using and treating drug overdoses. And I believe we have several folks here from the department, or at least at a minimum, the good Dr. Eckstein. So come on up if you want to speak to that. Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
How are you?
Commissioners. Good morning. Thank you. This motion about naloxone, as you know, has gotten a lot of political traction, both locally and also nationally. As we know, the scourge of prescription drug overdoses now has surpassed the number of deaths from heroin overdoses. So this has truly become a crisis. That being said, I think speaking from the fire department's perspective, we want to make sure we approach this very carefully and logically. We must keep in mind that unlike law enforcement, when our EMT firefighters encounter a patient with a known or suspected opiate overdose, they're able to support the patient's functions by assisting respirations until the paramedic arrives with the naloxone. In addition, about half of our fire companies now have a paramedic on board, and they do carry naloxone.
Right.
So while we are certainly capable of augmenting the capabilities of our basic life support units, our firefighter EMTs, and certainly we want to do this in concert with our partners in the LAPD, and we have to keep in mind and plan out the costs, logistics, and the training issues. Also, many of these patients are high risk, so there's a way to administer the opiate antagonists without needles, which is certainly advantageous. We want to minimize additional blood or bodily fluid exposure for law enforcement or our firefighter EMTs. So the bottom line is, from the fire department's perspective, we're certainly supportive of this movement to expand the scope of practice for EMTs. I don't want to speak for law enforcement, to carry and administer naloxone, but I think we have to be mindful that the predicted effect on our community from the fire department's expansion is likely to be nominal, and there will be significant training and fiscal costs associated with this expansion.
Walk me through this. There's been a lot of reports. There's many agencies, including police departments, that are actually carrying this as well. In fact, dozens now across the country. Walk me through the timing, first response, on the scene. You encounter an overdose. How's this going to make a difference? Walk us through that.
Yes, sir. So there are certainly some occasions where LAPD officer is first on scene of a known or suspected opiate overdose. I think clearly in a situation where the patient is not breathing or not breathing adequately, there's a risk of death or brain injury within 4 to 6 minutes. They simply request the response of the fire department, and then we show up, and either basic life support may arrive first and support the patient's respirations. Then paramedics will arrive and administer the antidote, the naloxone, by various methods of administration. More often, fire department is first on scene, and we go ahead and render care and administer the opiate antagonist and resuscitate the patient.
So this would expand it to BLS versus just ALS, is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
And of course, the law enforcement issue right now, if law enforcement is first on scene, clearly they're unable to render any aid until fire arrives.
I think and unless there's any discussion, I don't know if any other my colleagues have any questions on this as well?
How much would it cost to have a supply of it, though? Have you factored that in?
The cost of the drug is fairly nominal. It's generic.
Naloxone, is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, ma'am, naloxone. The trade name is Narcan. It's been around for decades. The patent is long gone. So it is generics. I don't have the exact cost, but the cost of the drug itself is probably the least of it. The main cost will be training costs.
To be able to administer the drug.
Right, to train our EMTs and LAPD officers to safely, not just the nuts and bolts of how to administer it, but recognize, particularly for law enforcement, lay people with no medical training, to recognize an individual who likely who has the signs and symptoms of an opiate overdose and therefore might benefit from administration of this medication. So clearly the training issues for LAPD are much, much higher, exponentially higher than our firefighter EMTs who encounter this every single day.
How is it administered? Forgive my ignorance, but...
No, it's actually a very good question. The agent naloxone can be administered in a variety of ways. The safest way is actually through it's kind of like an atomizer device, intranasally through the nose. The drug also can be administered intravenously or intramuscularly. But clearly, given the high risk of these patients in terms of the prevalence, particularly of hepatitis C and HIV and hepatitis B, and to minimize the risk of bloodborne infection, the safest route, particularly for law enforcement and our basic life support providers or EMTs, would be intranasal. So the drug is pulled up into a syringe, a customized atomizer device is made.
It's a liquid?
Yes, ma'am. So it's injected through a syringe, through an atomizer device, through the nose, intranasally, and usually works within a few minutes to reverse the opiate overdose. So it avoids the need for needles.
Right. How long between the time someone is overdosing and the time you get the drug inside their body? How long do you have? How many minutes?
So it depends. If someone has a full-blown overdose, presumably from heroin, once they stop breathing, there's irreversible brain damage in 4 to 6 minutes, and if that goes unchecked, it may lead subsequently to cardiac arrest. So the time window is very, very short to recognize it. And again, if you don't have the naloxone drug, well, currently what our firefighter EMTs do, they simply will support, they'll breathe for the patient with what's called a bag valve mask. So they'll support their respiration. It's usually early on, patient's heart is beating fine, they're not breathing. But if that doesn't get reversed within 4 to 6 minutes, the heart will start to deteriorate as well. So it's a fairly short time window to intervene.
So I'm beyond fully supportive of this. This has not only a national trend where so many agencies have taken this on over many years, but unfortunately we've seen a tremendous growth in opiate use amongst our populace here. Certainly there are other areas that have literally labeled this a catastrophic emergency in various different municipalities. And in fact, folks are having opiate parties now, teenagers, and it's just beyond that, spreading where this is almost a miracle drug, as it's been referred to in the media, where first responders have that opportunity. We're virtually, I think it was reported, almost 100% success rate that if they identify and get there on time and administer, they're going to save a life. And unfortunately, I think I was watching a story on fact, there's been many. The other day, it was either 60 Minutes or 2020, one of the two, saying unfortunately many of those folks who are saved, they're still transported, and then oftentimes leave the ER and go get high again. There's an entire different way that we need to start dealing with drug addiction, mental health, and not just it's not just a Band-Aid solution. It's a quick way to save somebody's life, and it's critically important, and is yet another tool. But there's a whole back end of that we've got to deal with as well. What's before us today is to allow the department to move forward and looking at expanding this beyond advanced life support to basic life support for those whoever's going to be first on the scene. I'd like to explore maybe even offline LAPD because there are a lot of law enforcement agencies that are actually carrying this as well, not just public safety and firefighters and EMTs, but first responders altogether that are actually able to administer and save a life. So we now have the web kits, the trauma kits that LAPD have, which I think we've labeled officially the web kits. And so this could be something that's added to that, and certainly train in the academy. So we can explore that. But at this point, I'd ask colleagues that we move forward and approve. I think it's really they're already doing it, so would it just be appropriate to note and file?
Mr. Chair, this motion does require an action.
Okay, we'll go ahead.
If you like, or you can note and file whatever.
We'll go ahead and, no, we'll take the action then to approve if that's okay with my colleagues, unless they have any other questions. Okay, then we'll go ahead and approve it unanimously. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and Fire will work with PD.
Great.
Come up with a plan. I think it'll be an incremental rollout, particularly the Central Division is the highest prevalence, and we'll put together a cost analysis and the training implications.
Yeah, and Doctor, let me say, Mark, thank you for everything you do and continue to do for the City of Los Angeles and so many others, and really appreciate all your work with this committee, with the departments, with the various agencies. It's a great partnership with the city, and we really appreciate your expertise and what you bring to the table. The nurse practitioner program that we worked on together is, sort of going viral, which is a good thing, and really excited about how that's taken off, and want to thank you for all your work and effort. That would not have been possible had that not been for your work, and really appreciate that. So thanks for everything you do.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your leadership and support.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
All right, with that, we'll go ahead and approve that, and we'll take that to item 8, the ACE program. And I know we're tight on time. If we could just get an update on, this is one of the most important programs, is quality of life issues. I know that this has sort of been quasi-pilot, if you will, in rolling it out and training various departments and divisions, animal control, LAPD, and others. The citation numbers look pretty low, and so if you can just sort of walk us through how this is really going, are people really deploying it, and give us, if you can come back with some even more data of what are the numbers by division where they have been deployed. But before we go into some of that, I want to thank you all, and particularly the City Attorney's Office, David Michelson and his team. Has really done a lot of work and working with the agencies to put this together, and so I really, truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Public Safety Committee. My name is Kwame Cooper. I'm the Assistant Fire Marshal. I'm here with my colleague, Andy Warden, who's actually the program coordinator for the Administrative Citation Enforcement Program. So I'm just going to pass the mic to Andy and let him go ahead and get right into preparing a report to you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of the council. Yes, I've been currently working to improve our false alarm responses within the fire department. My current role is in the industrial commercial section, and one of the projects has been working on the false alarms. We have started a pilot project in our central bureau to look at the data for the number of false alarms and to improve the quality of that data, with the overarching goal to reduce the number of false alarms and to reduce the number of conflicts that we have in any given bureau between units responding to false alarms and other types of emergencies that are happening in the general area. The overall program is looking at outreach and testing, as well as looking at education and an enforcement component, which is where the ACE program we feel would be a benefit for the fire department to be able to have this level of enforcement on these false alarms. So we continue to work on the data and continue to work on the program itself to be able to move forward to reduce these numbers.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Colleagues?
Good.
Okay. I appreciate it. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and note and file this, but we'll ask if you can come back on a quarterly basis. I'm not sure if the ACE program is actually being statted out in either FireStat or ComStat.
Good morning. I'm Rita Hernandez-Venegas from the City Attorney's Office. I supervise the ACE program. Currently, with the police department, it is not part of ComStat. We're working towards that goal to integrate it into ComStat.
Okay. And with FireStat, there's not really much to FireStat at this point on the ACE?
Until they're added, we'll work with them to develop a citation and work with them on training, for the program.
Council members, David Michelson with City Attorney. Nice to see you this morning. I'll make this brief. The ACE program is up and running. The first two departments that were part of the pilot, which is LAPD and the Department of Animal Services, our report goes into detail about how well that is working. overall, I think folks are very excited about ACE. We're keeping our officers out of the courtroom.
Yes.
The citations that are coming in are going into the city coffers. We're getting compliance. LAPD, I believe, will speak and can speak very eloquently to the success. What is before you today, in addition to the update, is the recommendation from 2 other departments who want to be added into the pilot. And I think the hope is for your support at this committee then to take that on to full council. One of those departments, LAFD,
right,
and the other department is the Park Rangers. Both would like to be added to the pilot to sort of augment what we're doing with LAPD and with Animal Services.
Right. Couldn't agree more.
I have a quick question. Are the fees collected by the program going to go back to the general fund?
At this point, yes, the answer is yes, and we've had transfers into the code compliance fund that are there now based on the revenue that we've collected from the citations.
And when we, I believe, when we approved the program, that we were saying that citations would offset the startup costs and implementation costs, and so that's what we front-loaded it out of the general fund to do that, right? And so, yeah, absolutely.
I was, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was cautioned to move on this when it came before us last year, specifically because of the compliance. I wasn't too comfortable to support something like this, knowing that we'd probably get very low compliance. What are compliant rates today now that the program's in motion?
LAPD has, we've processed close to 2,500 citations for LAPD and 333 for the Department of Animal Services. We're at a 40% compliance rate. We have less than 5% that are repeat offenders. A lot of those are in the downtown area for drinking in public. So much higher than our partner over at MTA. They've got 35% compliance rate with their citations paid and those that have gone on to collection combined. So we're, better than we thought.
Are we finding more senior lead officers taking advantage of this ACE program, or just patrol officers aside from the animal control officers?
In the beginning, when working with LAPD, we trained all the senior lead officers. We just felt that it's patrol and the vice units that are utilizing it more. At the end of this month, we're going to train citywide all the vice officers. It's mainly patrol officers.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll go ahead and approve this quarterly report and move that this be expanded to both the Park Rangers and the Fire Department, and also that we'd ask in council, though, if you could, just let me know exactly. I haven't heard specifically beyond the false alarms what the Fire Department hopes to utilize this for, as well as the Park Rangers, so we could talk offline a little more in detail on that. It's a great thing moving forward, and again, I want to thank the departments for deploying this, but really the City Attorney's Office under Mike Fuhrer and David Michelson's leadership that have really pushed this to get it done. It'd been talked about for years until they really got a hold of it and crossed the T's, dotted the I's, put the program efforts together. It's one of the most important sort of quality of life issues, and it goes back to the broken window theory, that if you don't solve those issues early on, and if you spin your wheels and waste a lot of time, effort, and money trying to criminalize minor offenses or issues that are quality of life issues, and then those are not enforced and they go unchecked, it really becomes a balance of trying to figure out where we're going to spend our time and effort, rather than you got to solve the small problems too before they get out of control, and that's what this is all about. And you get an A on the ACE program, Mr. Michelson. This is great. Great work by the entire department, all the departments, the entire city attorney staff that has really done a phenomenal job. You've done a great job, all of you, quite frankly. And so thank you. We'll go ahead and move this forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
On item 14, we can go ahead and move that. I believe we got our answers from Operation South Bureau on the JIP program, and so we'll go ahead and approve that as presented. That leaves us with one item on number 11, I believe, on the court-related overtime for the traffic infractions, and this was a report back. I think since it's just a report back at this point, we're only asking for a report back. We can approve that, asking for the report back. Do we need anything else on that?
We've been in conversations with Mr. Krikorian's office, and if you give us direction today to report back, we'll prepare that report and bring it back to the committee.
Oh, great. Okay, we'll go ahead and do that then. So we'll go ahead and move the item for report back, and that item is approved as well. I believe that clears the desk.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, and that concludes the agenda, and we are adjourned. Thank you.